Karen, it's so good to have you with me here today. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Gadi. How are you doing?
Well, I'm just excited, but not just about David and the artists. I'm excited about SpaceX. I mean, seriously, there is nothing that makes me more excited than SpaceX. And the only thing I could find to show you guys today is the 1958 Apollo mission cup. But I'm going to wave it around as much as I can because I'm so excited.
It's true. He's been talking about this for weeks.
I have. They all hate me by now. But and it's going to happen today. It's not, the mission is not going to be scrubbed. But with that said, it's really cool to have a writer who creates evocative images on the level of David Brin. And then at the same show, the Hugo artists, some of the best artists in the world and in the genre. And this kind of, as I was thinking about the show, brought up a thought. There seems to be a special connection between the visual and the written in science fiction and fantasy, almost something that is I'm in awe of, but can't necessarily understand.
Well, a lot of sci-fi and fantasy is actually quite visually stunning, even in the description, just because it's, it often involves things we've never seen. My native, if I have a native medium to read and write in, it's, the written word, but the best paintings and visual art to me tell an entire story in a moment.
Thinking about that, I think the best example for me, now that you talk about it, is actually from a non-fiction book, A History of Risk. It's called Against the Gods. And there is a picture on the cover of a Rembrandt of the Sea of Galilee in a storm. And all the humans on board just fight to hold on to the boat and fight the storm and get to their destination. And it's just an amazing image that evoked an entire story in my brain. So I kind of follow that.
Yeah, there's this painting I have on my wall. It's of a dragon. It's the artist is Carolina Eid, and she does some D&D art. And what I love about this dragon is that it's recognizably a dragon, and dragons are featured prominently in fantasy, but it feels completely like it comes from a different heritage than the others I've seen. Like he seems like almost like a little undersea creature, more than a one that I've seen before. And a lot of her characters or trope art does feel really fresh and reimagined. I've actually tried very hard to find her. I knew her only from her DeviantArt at one point, but I just, if anyone happens to know or be able to introduce me to her, I really just want to buy more of her art.
Always good to buy art. Another thing that I've been kind of harping on and then bringing you on board to harp on with me is resonance. Ever since I came back from the David Farland workshop, and when you, for example, instead of talking about it, when I open up an epic fantasy book, I can immediately read about dragons and kings and castles and the vastness of time. And I immediately feel at home. I feel welcome. I feel in Tolkien's world in a way. And I think in a way, fantasy, science fiction, there is a special resonance between what's written and the visual, which isn't necessarily found elsewhere.
I mean, it's not just the written and the visual, it's music, there's filk, there's movie. I mean, I think that this genre more, not that other genres don't, but more than those, tends to reimagine literally the same story between different genres, where it will be written first and then brought into a movie, into a comic, into an animated show. And we really get to see and feel the same story differently in different mediums.
As a dancer, I connect with that. When you look at the choreography, there is the movement, there is the space, there is the connection between dancers and the music. But in a way, one thing in choreography that blows my mind is how for every single beat in the music, the choreographer knows at the very least what they want you to feel, what emotion they want you to have in that very moment. And I find that absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, there are many definitions of art and what is art. The one that I've always kind of come back to is that art provokes a reaction. It's meant to provoke a reaction.
12.
So that's just a little bit of a teaser for us with NASA. So you all know it's there, but we're gonna just keep teasing you until the launch actually happens, and it's gonna happen. Keep going though, Karen.
Yeah, I mean, art being at the end of the day about provoking a reaction in the viewer is kind of what, it's something intentionally created, but it's, it's supposed to invoke an emotion.
I remember in last week's show, this is not what you said, but kind of what I took away from it. As we were discussing with all these experts, societal issues, policy issues, countering fake news, you raised the point about if this evokes something in somebody, if this is a human emotion, even if it's created by fake news, we shouldn't necessarily immediately jump to just block it.
That wasn't exactly what I said. I still think we should block it. I think it was more of a question of like, can it be blocked when this sort of storytelling and, you know, convincing others through stories is very inherent, I think, to humans.
Well, you know, this brings me back to David Brin again. And when I think about the Uplift series, for example, I have images in my brain to this very day, whether it's in the first book where I remember the negotiations with the new species that was found on the planet, or in the second book where the human soldiers rise out of the water. And for me, that's when the book kind of came together. The gorillas taking the test to move on to the next tier. Just all these scenes just are art in my mind.
Yeah, we asked some of our friends on Facebook, you know, to suggest some scenes like this, and we got so many. And so instead of reading them all, I'll just say one of mine, which was in the book, the Practice Effect. There's this idea that in this sort of alternate reality, we get to items actually become refined by being used more. And there's this trance that you can go into. It's called the Felfesh trance, where you can like items can like become more refined more quickly. And so the first time the main character goes into one, the thing that he's holding actually comes out like has been maxed out. It's like crystal now. And I kind of wanted to see that visually. It's such a clear image.
Well, you know, I think this is a good time to just say, whether it's for David coming up or for the artists panel, maybe they can help us understand this special resonance or special connection